Hello, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in, guys. On this episode, I have another replay analysis with Nona, and he is running his OHO Tier 8 overpowered Japanese super heavy tank. He's in a 510, and this is a pretty good setup. There's no artillery to bother him. There are some big guns, but there's quite a few that he can also bounce with his armor. He's heading out, and he's right now in a drag race with the T-95. He seems to be winning. He's beating the T-95 handily with his blazing speed. Crossing this opening is always a bit of a crapshoot in these slow tanks. Lots of times faster mediums will try to get up on that little ridge and take a shot into your side. So he did a good job looking that way. I think he maybe came away from it a little too soon. I do that as well, and I'll just blap them as I go by, or at least try to get a shot into them. With this big HE cannon, it's even better because it doesn't bounce. It just almost always causes damage. We'll talk about that a little bit because there are some situations where it will cause more or less damage. Now, it's very tempting because that FCM is a light tank, so let's go track him down and give him a little kiss. But you have to know, based on your speed, and he's on that corner, that you're probably going to find something like this right here. So that's just kind of using SA and game knowledge and going, all right, they have faster tanks. I saw one. It's an FCM. He's decided he can actually come up to this corner and try to hold this corner. That probably means he's either A, very stupid, or B, has friends with him. And I'm going to default to B until I can prove that he's very stupid. But I just proved that he has friends with him, didn't I? So I'm looking to get a shot on the 50, but holy cow, the E75 is there, and I would have just accepted the shot on the E75 and then started backing up. But now I've got a T95 coming in here, and we're going to have a pretty good example here of two guys that aren't platooned in a pub match doing a fairly decent job of working with each other. T95 is sort of just sitting there clogging up that spot. He knows he can do that because there's no artillery, plus this is a relatively artillery-safe spot. What he wants to do is avoid getting tracked. And you can see that Nona is using him as a little bit of lower armor without, and this is key, without getting up behind him and clipping him in the back. He's got enough standoff that the T-95 can maneuver, but he's able to use the T-95 a little bit as a shield for his lower plate. That's how you do it. If you get right up behind the T-95 and start bumping him, that's when we have a problem in there. I talked about HE never bouncing, but you can get a situation where it sort of bounces, i.e. it detonates on a FCM 50T's tracks instead of going through to the side of the tank and penning. Should have plenty of pen to go through there, but it looks like he gets his tracks and only drops about 200 and, what was it, 90 on the FCM, which is fine. It's a good hit. Would have been really nice if he'd have penned him and crippled him or taken him down. So we're going to come in here again. See how he's careful not to drive up behind him. He wants to get up there and get a shot, but the 95 is moving backwards, and we shoot in there again, and that kind of blew my mind. 429 on that one. Man, really seems like it should have got in there and done a lot more, but not a bad hit. 429 is good. T-95 is backed off a little bit, and I think this is the right answer for Nona. This team is, they're just waxing him, so really this is turning into a rout pretty quickly. You can see that his compatriots over on the east side are eating things up, and he'll shoot right in there. And it's just clean up on L2, but they're a little overmanned on this side, so they do need to be careful. If he wants to live through the rest of the battle and do more damage, he wants to be careful about pushing too hard into these guys. One other thing I'll say about that shot right there is I was yapping and it happened. You saw that he aimed for the lower plate. Even with the HE guns, if you aim for weak spots, you'll do more damage. That seems completely intuitive and everyone should know that, but it's not something people generally think about. Sometimes I just see people blasting at upper holes or right into turret faces or things. If you take a little care and go for some of the weak spots with the HE, you're going to do more damage. Now, most people get it. You get to the side or the back, yeah, that's the way to go. But even the front, E75's lower plate's a little weaker, so that's where you go for if you want to do more damage. That was an interesting damage symbol that came up. It showed 600 or something, I think, which kind of makes you think like, oh man, I just did 600 to him. But realize if you and somebody else hit the same guy at roughly the same time, both damages will be added together, and that's why you saw 600 or 700 or whatever it was. If you look at the bottom left, on the E75, he actually only did 253 on that shot. Probably would have done less had he hit that upper plate. And actually, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure whether he actually did hit the upper plate or not. but still the discussion about hitting weak spots applies. He puts that right into the side of the M449. Something else to think about with these big derp guns and heavily armored tanks is shooting underneath them and blasting it up into their very, very weak lower plate, or lower, not even lower plate, but under armor, underneath armor, can often do more damage, especially with the Type 4 and the Type 5. I mean, if you put a shot right underneath, in between the tracks underneath the E75, you can do 600-700 damage with that. So the E75 bounces once, and he says, you know what, I got to do something. This is not going well. Amandus puts it into the side of his turret. Oh, don't block your T95. I think you saw that coming in. Good job. Yeah, back out of that. There you go. I'm not sure what he was shooting at. I think he missed you maybe, or was trying to go the T95, but in any event, did not do another point of damage to you, and you get out of that. Again, nice job working with the T95 in there. And now we get moving. So we're going to come up here and clean up on aisle 2. We will just speed this up because we're very slow. It's another drag race. You're catching him, but he looks like he beat you, so to speak, around the corner. We're going to come up here and do a little double tap action. So we kill him, boom, and then the T95 says thank you very much, and kill him. Reload, boom, and we down the last two, and the WZ-111G FT bites the dust, and holy cow, it's a 14-1 Raffle Stomp. 2,000 damage, not the greatest, largest damage in the world, but nice job working over there with a random teammate. The rando teammate work together thing. Pretty nice job. A couple things in there to think about for using the big derp guns in there as well. Good job, Nona Amandus. I'm beating dead horses today, but working with somebody else on a corner like that doesn't just happen. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. You don't bump them, you don't get in the way, you don't block their retreat. You complement what they're doing with what you're doing, and hopefully they do the same. In that case, it was kind of a case where the T95 had the lead and you were the support guy. So he was going to make the maneuvers, get in there and take shots. Whatever you did, any shots you could take, needed to complement what he was doing without bouncing or bumping or getting in his way. All right, so dead horse beaten right there. That's it for this Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Guys, I appreciate your support. Keep the replays coming. Send in great ones, bad ones, ones you want. Analyze things you don't get or can't understand. I'll make something up. I'll tell you what you want to hear. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.